welcome back to our third Easter message as we look at the coffin or the tomb of Jesus in Mark chapter 16 verse 1 to 8. So as we are there, can Jesus really bring hope for our future? Well, let's have a look at the tomb and the coffin and notice one detail really from this scene. So Mary, early on, verse 1, Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, Salome, brought spices so they might go and anoint the body of Jesus, not expecting him to be risen from the dead. They come across a problem in verse 2. There's a big stone covering the entrance, but when they get there, the stone is moved away, and then they find, as they look inside, verse 4, they find, verse 5, an empty tomb, and they see an angel really dressed in white robe, and they were alarmed. And what I want us to look at now is the message that the angel gives. So as we look at this tomb and this coffin, what message can we get from Jesus today? Because the message didn't originate with the angels. The message was originated with Jesus, and he told the angels to tell Mary, and Mary would go and tell the other disciples who had scattered. So what is the message as we look at the coffin this Easter? Firstly, it's a message of peace. Verse 6, the first thing the angel says is, do not be alarmed. Don't be afraid. It's what Jesus said to the disciples before he died. He says, my peace I leave with you, not as the world gives. But he says, I said these things that you would have peace. In the world you'd have tribulation, but in me you'd have peace. That was before he died. And now that he's dead and he's risen from the grave, he's not there anymore. He tells the angels to tell Mary and his disciples, peace. Don't be alarmed. You have left me down. Okay? You have forsaken me. You betrayed or denied me. You walked away. You were weak. But don't be alarmed. The same Jesus that loved you before he died loves you just the same after he's risen from the dead. I haven't come with a message to fear you, but a message to say to you, we are still friends. Peace be with you. Don't be alarmed. But it's a message of power in verse 6. The angel says, don't be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has risen. It's a message of power. That is a great amount of power, to raise somebody from the dead. Jesus says, nobody takes my life from me. I lay it down on my own accord and I take it up again. So Jesus rose from the dead. Death is conquered. Grave, where is your victory? Because Jesus has power. Mary, you need to know that Jesus has power. Power over death. He has risen. He has power over darkness at the cross because everything went dark. He has power over our discouragement and our weaknesses because we're just coats. And now he has power over death. So can there be hope for the future? Yes. If you feel like a coat, Jesus can use you in your disappointments and discouragements. At the cross in the darkness, Jesus has power over the darkness. And now at death, Jesus has power over death. So whatever you face in the future with Jesus, there can be hope. But this is a message of potential. Verse 6. He is not here. Amazing. We don't have to go to a tomb to worship Jesus. Okay? With Jesus, you don't know where you're going to find him. There is potential. Yes, we know we find him in his word and with his people, but he's alive. This is a message of potential. But finally, in verse 7, this is a message with a promise. And please get this today. She says, or the angel says to Mary, verse 7, go tell his disciples, especially who? Peter, because Peter was the one who denied him 3 times. Peter needs to know that Jesus is sending a message of peace. Peter needs to know there's a message of power. Peter needs to know that it's not the end of Jesus and there's potential. And Peter needs to know there's a promise. And what is the promise for Peter and the other disciples and for us? Verse 7, he is going before you. He is going before you. You will see him. You will see him. So can there be a future for us? Definitely. Of course it is with the risen Jesus. I can meet him today as I'm out walking. They were on their way to Galilee. Jesus would appear to his disciples on the road to Emmaus. He'd appear to Saul on the road to Damascus. How often has the risen Jesus met his disciples as they were going on their way? So the good news for you and me today is that the living Jesus promises us to go before us and to meet us on the way. So the darkness will not be dark with Jesus because he's the light of the world. Even in our disappointments, okay, and our inabilities, we have Jesus and he'll meet us on our way. And even as we come to death and it's time to cross the Jordan ourselves, Jesus will bear us over safely. He will be with us as we go through the waters. They will not overwhelm our souls. So I pray that you would meet him as you go on your way today and know that he will go before his people. So I pray that you would hear the message of peace, the message of power, the message of potential, and the message of the promise that he will go before you and you will meet him again in the next few days. So please, if you have not yet, call on the name of the Lord and you will be saved. And please get in touch with us. And if you are a Christian and you feel like Peter, there is good news for you today. And I pray the 3 talks would have helped you and given hope to you also. So on behalf of the church, we do pray that you have a blessed Easter. Amen.